Hey guys, so in the previous lesson, we were looking at successive ionization energies and we saw examples of beryllium and even nitrogen. And here you see is that I've got an atom laid out for you guys. This is the electron arrangement of a sodium atom. If you remember, sodium has 11 protons and its configuration is 2, 8, and 1. 2 in the innermost, 8 in the middle one, and 1 in the outermost. And what we're going to do is we are going to get actually all these 11 electrons removed from sodium, and we'll see evidence for 3 shells in the successive ionization energies of sodium. Just to recap, if you know what are successive ionization energies, they're the energies required to remove electrons from atoms. So now in sodium, the first electron being removed would be this equation. That would, by the way, be the outermost electron. By the way, all of these are being pulled by the nucleus, right? Now, the outermost is the easiest to be removed because it's the furthest away. Therefore, its attraction by the nucleus will be the least. Then the middle 8 will be a little more harder but easier than the innermost, because the innermost is the closest. It'll have these 2 electrons in the innermost that I'm highlighting in yellow cycle. They'll require the most amount of energy, and the in green on the outermost periphery, that guy will require the least amount of energy. And so when I'm losing electrons, they generally are lost from the outermost shell first, and this value is about 496 kilojoules per mole, this energy change. That would be the first ionization energy of sodium. The second would be sodium 1 plus to sodium 2 plus, and that is about 4,563 kilojoules per mole. Then you can take the third one out, that is 2 plus becoming 3 plus. Now all of these are gaseous ions, and this, like we were discussing in the previous videos end, that successive ionization energies are always going to be greater, even if they are in the same shell, because every time you remove one electron, the remaining electrons are fewer, their repulsions are less, so the net attraction by the nucleus is going to be more. And all of these are gaseous ions. Gaseous ions. Yeah, all of these. And obviously you can have the 11th ionization energy of sodium also, because what would the 11th be? 11th will be 10 plus becoming 10 plus gas becoming 11 plus gas, and that energy would be, it actually is extremely large. It's about the 11th ionization energy is 159,079 kilojoules per mole. Now graphically speaking, it's very easy to see the first ionization energies, but we got to be able to look at from the data. So the data for the 12 for the first or the 11 ionization energies of sodium are, and I'm going to scroll down for that, are right here. Now for that matter, these are the some of the ionization energies equations, and these are the values for the 11 ionization energies of sodium, removing from the first electron to be removed till the 11th. And you'll notice the values are increasing, and there are certain increases, but there are large jumps also. So here between the first and second is a larger jump than the second and third, and the values are going to keep increasing and increasing. But when you go towards the 8th and the 9th and the 10th electron being removed, there's a much larger jump. So we are looking for these big differences in some of these ionization energies. The first big difference is between the first and the second, and the reason is the second ionization energy is much larger because this electron, the second one being removed, is from an shell closer to the nucleus. Very simply speaking, if I were to focus on, let me scroll up. So the first ionization energy would be sodium becoming sodium plus, right? So its configuration is 281 becoming 28. So the electron being removed is in the third shell. Now the second ionization energy was sodium plus becoming sodium 2 plus. What that means is that 28 was becoming 27, which means that the electron being removed was from a shell that was shell number 2 was a shell number 3. So here the electron being removed is from a shell closer to the nucleus, which will require much more energy to be removed because it is going to get greater attraction. So taken together, they show that there is only one electron in the outermost shell. That's the key here, because the moment you go to the second electron, it was from a shell closer to the nucleus, which meant that only this electron was in the outermost shell. And then the remainder second to the ninth, all the values increase slightly. And the reason why they increase is because the electrons get fewer and fewer, though the attraction for the electrons increase, and so the ionization energy increases. And why is there a large jump here? Because now suddenly going from the ninth to the 10th, because literally the 10th ionization energy represents this. It's 9 plus, which is 2 comma 1, sorry, 2 becoming sodium 10 plus, just one electron in the outermost shell. While this, the ninth ionization energy was 8 plus becoming 9 plus. So if I were to show that to you also, let me just do that. So basically the ninth, so this is the first ionization energy, the second, and the ninth. Ninth is 8 plus becoming 9 plus. And that is when 2 comma 1 becomes 2, meaning the last of the second shell electrons is being removed.
Quick pause. If you're finding value in this explanation, there's so much more to discover at Alt Academy, where we break down every A-level concept with the same clarity. Now back to the video lesson.
But why is the 9 plus becoming 10 plus greater, or the 10th ionization energy greater? Because now instead of losing electron from the second shell, is losing from the innermost shell. So that's why there is a large increase between the 9th and the 10th ionization energy, which tells me that the 10th electron is from a shell even closer to the nucleus than the previous 9 were. Obviously, graphically, if I were to represent this data, it would be even more obvious for the ionization energies. And because these values become really large, we use log of those values, but theoretically they mean the same thing. What I'm saying is, I'm going to be showing you this graph. Now this graph is the log of the ionization energies so that I can plot them linearly, easily, of the first 11 ionization energies of sodium. And what you realize is that there are values that are increasing, but there are also larger jumps in values right there and right there. Between the first and the second was a very obvious jump, and between the ninth and the 10th was a very obvious jump. That should tell you that there is one electron in the outermost shell, 8 in the inner ones, and 2 in the innermost ones. And that's basically what's happening, all right, in this graph. To make it a little more obvious, the same graph, let's just talk about that. So there's a large gap between the first and the second because the second electron is being removed from a shell closer, or energy level closer to the nucleus. Why do the remainder next 8 increase? Because there's always an increase in successive ionization energies because there is greater nuclear attraction. The ratio of protons increases to electrons. Fewer electrons, less repulsion, therefore greater nuclear attraction. And this term, effective nuclear charge, we'll be seeing it very closely, very soon. It's basically the idea that the nucleus has greater effective attraction. And why is there a large jump right here? Which tells me that, hey, this means that even this is from an electron shell closer to the nucleus, which means these the largest 2 ionization energies are for the innermost 2 electrons, then the remainder 8 is from the inner 8, and outermost is from the outermost 1. This tells me that sodium has 3 shells, the innermost has 2 electrons, the middle has 8, and the outermost has 1. And once you see enough of these ionization energy graphs, you'll realize that, oh yes, now I see the big jumps, and now I see how we got the shells. This proves that sodium has 3 shells, and the electrons are 2 in the innermost, 8, and then 1. Remember, the outermost is the easiest to be lost. Now let me show you ionization energies of a few other elements. Okay, for example, this one I'm showing you is for silicon. If you remember, silicon has 14 electrons. So without even remembering its electron configuration, you can see that from this graph all the values increase, but there are two places where the values are increasing greater than the trend. That's right here and right here. So these my arrows are pointing to the large jumps. That tells me that the fifth electron is from a shell closer to the nucleus, and the 13th is from a shell even more closer to the nucleus, which is saying that the highest energy, the highest ionization energies, the last two, are from the two innermost electrons. Then these are from the eight in the middle shell, and the last four, or the first four, are from the four in the outermost. So here multiple things are proven. This element has three shells. Its configuration is 2, 8, 4, because the fifth ionization energy was the first large jump. So the 4 was in the outermost shell, and therefore you can even determine the group they're in, or at least determine the number of outermost electrons. So the kind of questions you'll get are also going to be about, hey, can you identify the group these guys are in by looking at the graph? Okay, that kind of stuff. All right, and I'll show you a couple of more ionization energies. Now I'll show you one for potassium. Again, just showing you these successive ionization energies helps us understand, prove that there are multiple shells. Remember, that's the purpose of ionization energies, to prove the number of shells and the electrons in each shell. So here is the ionization energy graph, successive ionization energies of potassium. If you remember, potassium was 2881. We could not explain it in O levels to you, but at least this is the proof of that. The proof is that look at the ionization energies. One requires a lot less energy than the second till the ninth. Then the 10th till the 18th require even more. And then the last 10th and the 17th require more. And the 18th and 19th require the most, which tells me that these two that I'm pointing to, that requiring the most amount of energy, is from the innermost shell. Then you got 8, then you got 8, and you have 1 in the outermost shell. So potassium's 4 large jumps here indicate 4 shells. 3 large jumps indicate 4 shells, and therefore its configuration is 2, 8, 8, 1, and only 1 electron in the outermost shell. All right, another diagram just to prove this to you, just to have this color coded a little better, is right here. This is same potassium, but if you notice here, it's pretty obvious that the last two are from the first shell, the second shell, the third, and the fourth, basically the outermost shell. And so what we expect to do is expect you to see the graphs and then be able to predict either the group number, predict, for example, the large jumps. If I were to show you the successive ionization energies of period 3 elements, it might help you understand, hey, we can do a lot more with this data. Now here, we've got some successive ionization energies of certain elements from certain periods. Now, what we have is here, if you notice, certain elements from period number 3, not certain periods. What am I saying? Now, let's look at phosphorus for a second. If you look at phosphorus, and I'll highlight that fellow for you, randomly taking phosphorus. You see that? Now look at the values for phosphorus. They are increasing. They have to increase. We know why they increase. Because fewer electrons left, less repulsion, greater net attraction. But there is a large jump right there between the fifth and the sixth. Now, if I highlight that large jump, what that tells me is that the electrons before the first large jump are the outermost electron. What am I doing? I'm put it in the wrong place. Yeah, sorry. The jump is right there. If you notice, and I'm highlighting that now, and it has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. The jump is right there, and therefore more. This is not the exhaustive. This is just the first 9 ionization energies. Even though phosphorus has 15 electrons, this is just the first 9. You might not be given all of the ionization energies, sometimes just the first few. For example, chlorine dekh lo. Let's look at chlorine here for a second. Now, if I go around chlorine, I look at the values, and the first large jump is between 11,000 and 33,000, which tells me that all the energies before that are electrons from the outermost shell. When you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So using successive ionization energies, I can even predict group numbers and number of outer electrons. Okay, so now this wraps up the ideas of successive ionization energies in different elements. The questions you can get are either they'll give you successive ionization energies and of different elements, or an element, and then ask you which group something is in. They'll ask you why a certain ionization energy is more than the other. If there's a, can you identify where the large changes, therefore where the energy shell changes, and so on and so forth. And we'll take a look at that in the next lesson. All right. Bye. Ciao.
Hey there! If you found this A-level chemistry lesson helpful, why don't you head over to our website, altacademy.org, where you can sign up for the full A-level chemistry course. In addition to chemistry, you can sign up for physics, biology, math, or 4 other A-level subjects. Thousands of students have already taken the leap. What are you waiting for?